Okay, so this is the second video in the series of home workouts. Now in this one we're going to be focused on spinal stability in the midriff. You are going to need a prop for this one, so I would recommend getting a 55 diameter Swiss ball. So the one I've got here is actually a 65, but the one that I would recommend for most people which will fit is a 55 diameter one. We're going to be using the Swiss ball today as a means of training the midriff in different positions and helping us with our breathing and positioning. Now the goal with these videos is going to be to make them and scale them for people of all ages and abilities. So I'm going to start and give a variation for anybody who may not be at a certain level of fitness or strength yet, and take it right the way through for people who are doing this on top of their usual lifting. Now even though these look as very low intensity movements, if you do them correctly they are very challenging, and if you integrate this as a workout that you do once or twice a week on top of your usual lifting, it'll have a really great carryover, not just to gym performance and strength but also to lower back health and day-to-day movement. So we're going to begin with a prep drill, which is going to be diaphragmatic breathing, a little bit of abdomen release and a little bit of rotational release as well. So to do this, all you do is you're going to be lying down on the ground like so, and we're going to start with 10 diaphragmatic breaths where we're going to fill our hands with air. So if you cross your hands over, place them on your abdomen, and you want to really expand into your hands in your obliques, so fill your midriff with air. So I'm going to breathe in through my nose and out. Breathe in and out. And I want you to do 10 really big deep breaths. So once you've done 10, we're going to go on to some side rotations, and this is just to help us just gently encourage the muscles and the connective tissue along the midsection to just stretch and release. So just taking the legs from side to side very steadily, just doing 10 per side. Once you've done 10 each side, you're going to get the palm of my hand, and we're just going to find any areas of the midriff which feel particularly tender or restricted, and this will be dependent on the individual. So when you're doing this, you're not looking to apply a really forceful amount of pressure. The pressure is a 3 out of 10 maximum, and I just want you to find an area which feels restricted at any point of the abdomen and just do gentle circles and massages like this. And the pressure isn't too hard, it's just a gentle rotations and circles in different portions whilst doing the diaphragmatic breathing. So now we're going to inhale, really fill your belly, and out. So very gently, just doing circles along the midriff, like so. Breathe in and out with light pressure. We would repeat that 2 to 3 times, so go in the diaphragmatic breathing, the leg rotations, and then the circles, depending on the time that you have available. From there, we're then going to go on to our first exercise, which is connecting the rectus abdominis, so the abdominal muscles from the sternum to the bottom of the pelvis. So what you're going to do is you're going to be seated on the ball like so, and you're just going to bring yourself down into this position. So you basically, your spine is going along the curvature of the ball, head goes back into the hands like this, so we have a base of support behind the head. What you're going to do is we're going to flex and really contract the abs whilst pushing weight through the heels and bringing our pelvis upwards. So I'm bringing my bum up towards the ceiling and tucking and getting some spinal flexion, and at the same time I'm contracting and forcing down in this position like so. Now in terms of what's working here, my abdominals from here are working to bring me forward, and then if I push my hips up I can shorten this muscle here. So there's not a great deal of challenge to these lower abs, however I can connect the muscle and hold on to this position. Now what you want to do is put the weight, your weight through your heels and see if you can maintain this contraction through the lower abs, and then you're just going to hold that position and not let go through here. So your goal is to keep that contraction, keep that connection. If you want to place your hand on your lower abdominals, you can. You're going to let your hips go down very slowly, and then you're going to bring them together and contract and squeeze. So again, the focus is in the lower abdominals to keep that full connection through this muscle here. So I'm going to go back like so, dropping the pelvis down and then gently curving through the lumbar spine, bringing it up. And we're doing a slow concentric eccentric. So it's going to be 3, 2, 1, keeping that contraction. 3, 2, 1, keep that contraction. 3, 2, 1, maintain the contraction. And then again, finding those lower abdominals, scooping the pelvis underneath you, contracting like so through there. Once you've done 10 on there, we're then going to actually do something which is going to really encourage these lower abs to stabilize. So we're going to go down onto the floor, get the ball up to this position and place the ball up into the air and bring your knees up like so. You're going to push down, so your palm of your hands are pushing into the ball and your knees are coming up at the same time. So we have this closed contraction through the midsection. You're going to hold that position and just start with dropping a heel down on that side and back up. And it's a very small, subtle movement. And we're going to do 5 per side. Push down, hold, drop down, there. Now as you extend the leg, I want you to do a deep breath in through your nose. And back up. Back up. So this is a level which everyone should be able to do. If you have any issues with it and you feel as if your lower back is extending up, place a pillow or a yoga block underneath your pelvis to encourage a little bit more of a tilt. So we're not necessarily trying to drive our lower back into the ground, we're just trying to control the position of the spine through our breathing. So inhale and back. And remember, it's about the quality, not the quantity or how far your leg goes. If you do want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can extend out, but again, if you feel your lumbar spine overextending, you know you've gone too far. For the purpose of this, I would rather keep it controlled and slow rather than overdoing it and going too far. So set 2 now. Now we know what we're doing is we're going to do this crunch. We're going to get our weight through our heels. We're going to get the lower abdominals to work. They've now had a stimulus where they'll be used to stabilizing the pelvis. Now remember that the actual stimulus they're getting is from an external point of view is relatively minimal. So it's about the positioning and learning how to tuck the pelvis at the same time you contract. So hands behind the head. We're going to go down, breathe in. We're going to tuck, push through our heels, bringing the chest forward and really contracting through the lower abdominals. So make sure you control the eccentric through the lower abs, bring up, push through the heels, contract. And again, you want to point this point here to this point here. There, hold and breathe out, contract. And we're going to do 10 in total, maintaining that real emphasis on the lower abs. And then into the dead bug. I would recommend doing 5 to 6 per side. So push down, maintain that pressure through here. And you're going to breathe in and toe touch. Back out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in. So this workout has been designed in a specific way. So we're first of all stimulating the breathing. Then we're going to stimulate the muscles, the deep core muscles, which we've already done. Now we're going to do the dynamic muscles. So what I mean by this is that when we think of core, we usually think about being in a rigid position, such as planks, such as dead bugs like you've just seen. But our midriff is really, really important for moving us in a rotational point of view and also from a side bending point of view. So what this part is going to be dynamic movement, where we're just teaching ourselves to move in different directions. So what we're going to start off with is just working on the rotational component. Now we're doing it in a stood up position because this is more functional, because we do a lot more things on our feet than on our back. So what we're going to start with is having a slight bend in the knees. We're going to have our pelvis facing forward. We're going to maintain that and just rotate from side to side. So these rotations are really teaching us how to utilize the obliques, even though there's not too much of an external challenge. So what you want to be doing here is really thinking about the control that you've just gained through those static holds. So I want to breathe, brace, control, utilize all these oblique muscles, hold on to the rib cage and the pelvis, and do this with active control. So right now I can actually really feel my obliques engage, and then I'm going to just go down to the opposing sides like that, and then to the opposing sides like this. So I'm reaching. So you can do that in an imaginary box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, feet facing forward, slight bend in the knees, hips forward like that. We're then going to go into the side bending, which is just simply dropping the hands from side to side, but maintaining that rigidity in the midsection. So you're not bracing as if you're doing a max deadlift, you're just holding on to the midsection and going from side to side. And we're going to do 10 each side. So going down each way. Once you've done the 10 each side, you're then going to go back to the obliques. You can do this for 2 to 3 sets, again, depending on the time that you had available. But remember, it's active resistance. So you want to make sure that you're utilizing the muscles and you're in control. It's not just passively moving. So we do the side bends and then into the rotations. So 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now even this is low intensity, so there's not a great deal of resistance. Don't underestimate what this can do when you keep controlling your body and you do it mindfully. Because remember, this rotation is teaching us how to use our glutes and reach round and stretch the myofascial lines. And just by doing this very steadily and doing it with smooth, active control, it's a very, very good way of teaching your body how to reach different dynamic positions. Once you've done this for 2 to 3 sets, we're going to go back into a little bit more intensity with the sagittal plane, so basically the holds which are going to transfer to our squats and deadlifts. So if we think we've stimulated the breathing, we've stimulated the midsection and the obliques, we've stimulated the frontal and transverse planes, and now we're going to go back into those dynamic holds with the ball. Now what we're going to do is start in this kneeling position and place your elbows on the ball and our knees back like this. And we're going to start with tucking the pelvis underneath, and it's going to be 5 really deep nasal breaths. So breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Now once you've done that, you can either, if you find that challenging, you can keep doing that from anywhere between 5 to even 10 breaths. If you want to increase the intensity and make it more challenging, you can then add the rotational component by doing the stir the pots like so. You can do 1 in one direction, 1 in another direction. So I'm going to do 5 each way. Really slow and controlled. Making sure you're using the obliques and really trying to get into different regions. So we have scaling, hold for people who find that challenging. If you can do that and you build up, your goal is to then move into the rotations and stir in the pot. From there, the next advancement is to place your hands on the ball, and you're going to go into a full plank like this, so the knees come off. You need to control that, tuck the hips underneath, slight bend in the knee, and just hold that position. And it's the same principle. You breathe in and out, keeping that control. As a way of advancing this, you can do this into oblique crunches, where you slowly bring the knee up and then back. Now with this one, I like to keep the toe on the floor, because that way you can maintain an element of stability which really gets into the obliques. What happens when people do this is they start to compensate by overloading the lower back. So you can go very slowly, hold, contract those obliques, bring back. And your goal is to do anywhere between 3 to 5 each side, keeping that stability. So with that one, we're teaching the midsection how to stabilise in a prone position. We're then going to go back into a supine position, which is lying on the back, but this time add a little bit more of a dynamic element. So with this one here, we're going to go back into that dead bug position. I'm going to hold the ball like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive my right arm into the ground and really push in into that, so my right arm is into the ground. I'm going to get my left hand and right knee and drive those together, so this right knee is pushing towards the left hand, and I'm going to inhale and straighten my left leg. So it looks like this. So the contraction is drive the right arm back, inhale through the nose, straighten the left leg, and push my left hand and my right knee together. And what you can even do is start to integrate some movement where you bring the knee up at the same time. So again, it looks like this. And I would recommend doing 5 to 6 each side, because I want strong contractions and quality reps over duration. So I'm going to breathe in. If you find that very challenging, we can scale that by simply bringing our knees up, palms down into this position, and just repeating the one that we started with. So just dropping like this, just gently toe tapping, putting the heel to the ground like so. The reason for revisiting the exercise that we started with is that we want to see what happens to our sagittal spine stability when we unlock the other directions. So what that means is that when we're able to rotate and bend, we'll improve our ability to stabilise our spine in all directions. That'll stimulate muscles in the way, which can make us stronger if we focus on breathing and doing the exercises properly. So the goal with this workout is for you able to utilise the exercises based on the time that you have available, your current strength and stability levels, and tailor it to yourself so you can increase the rep ranges as you get stronger. Doing this 2 to 3 times a week would be an amazing way to build up your core strength and your lower back, which will then carry over to everyday life. To finish the workout, we're going to do what we started again with the diaphragmatic breathing. So that is lying down on the ground, inhaling to your abs for 20 reps. So obviously cut to here. Yeah, sure. Okay. So we're going to finish again with the diaphragmatic breathing, and this time it's just going to bring your heels off the ground slightly. So you can put a pillow underneath, so your sacrum, so that bone at the bottom of your pelvis has a bit of freedom and movement. And all I want you to do is just really breathe in and imagine you're filling the lower abdominal, so there's a space just between your belly button, just about an inch underneath. And I want you to focus on breathing into that area. So I have my sacrum, the base of my pelvis off the floor, and I'm going to imagine that area there is just filling with air. And out. And I want you to finish every workout with 20 breaths where you're imagining that point again, just a couple of inches below your belly button, is expanding and relaxing. And as you do a deep inhale, it expands. And then as you exhale, it relaxes. And imagine the tension is melting away out of that point. So finishing each workout with that, what it's going to be doing is again stimulating the lymphatic system. It's going to be stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us relax. But above all else, it's going to teach the muscles how to breathe properly. So all the midsections how to breathe properly, which is going to have a really good, profound benefit on your general well-being and health.